With Wally Matthews back at the Century Center here in South Bend, Indiana, just about set to go. Wally, talk us through the Indiana rules as set by Bobby Knight.
Okay, out here in Hoosier country, the 3 knockdown rules in effect. There's no standing 8 count. Fighter can be saved by bell in the last round only. The 3 judges score the fight. The 10-point must system is in effect, and the referee can stop the fight. Also, the ringside physician can stop the fight here, Barry.
So that's one thing that is a little bit different from what we usually see. Let's talk about the keys to victory.
Okay, as most psychos must, Mr. Bates has to keep his head in the ring. We understand that he's a good boxer, but does like to brawl a bit. He also has to stay on the outside and use his jab. Kid tells us that he is a bit careless defensively. He actually forgets to slip punches. So he's got to remember to do that and not get careless defensively.
So that sets this one up then. These are junior welterweights, and what do you say we meet them with Michael Buffer?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Century Center here in the hometown of the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana. Tonight, Hot Dog Incorporated and the undisputed, undefeated King of Beers, Budweiser, presents professional boxing for your entertainment. These bouts are sanctioned by the Indiana Boxing Commission. The chairman is Jacob E. Hall, administrator William Van Orman, inspectors at ringside Wally Judge and Mike Turnay. The judges for all the bouts tonight will be Fred Jones, Gary Merritt, and Monty Cox. Our physician at ringside is Dr. David Krisman. Timekeeper, Bill West. Counting for the knockdown seconds, Jim Holmes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get things started with 8 rounds. This is in the junior welterweight division. The referee for this first bout is Pete Podgorski. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks with black trim, he weighs an even 140 pounds from Jackson, Tennessee. His professional record, 10 victories with 8 KOs, only 3 defeats. Let's hear it for Kenny the Kid. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with red letters, he weighs an even 142 pounds from Elkhart, Indiana. His professional record, 21 victories, only 1 defeat with 8 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, Norman Psycho Bates.
First and foremost, obey my commands at all times. I want no low blows, keep your punches up, try to avoid clinches. If you get in a clinch, pull out and punch on your own. In the event of a knockdown, the man standing goes directly into your corner and stays there until I tell him to come out. Shake hands now, good luck, come on, fighting at the bell.
So we are just about set to go as you take a look at Norman Psycho Bates, who's been on something of a roll. He hasn't lost since back in February of 1988. And in the other corner, Kenneth Kidd, 10 up and 3 down with 8 knockouts. So Wally, obviously, he is able to manufacture a punch on occasion.
Well, he can punch a bit, but as we said earlier, he gets hit with a lot of punches, and he says he gets hit with a lot of punches because he gets careless. And right there, he got hit with the right hand right off the bat.
Norman Bates has come in here very cool. He has not even the slightest trace of perspiration.
Well, you know, there may be a reason for that. He missed his weight by 3 pounds this morning, had to go out, ran 4 miles, came back. He was still 1.5 pounds heavy, Barry. Went out for some more running and apparently did make the weight.
However, we'll see what kind of an effect it has on him. It could have dehydrated him.
He could be dehydrated, or he could feel that he has just a limited amount of energy left and didn't want to waste it in warm-ups.
Good right hand that time by Kidd, slipped in. Bates with a record of 21-1. Not a serious knockout puncher, has 8 knockouts.
That one loss, as you mentioned, came in '88. It came to Gino Gelomino, who's actually a junior lightweight. He's 130 pounds, and in that fight, Bates also had trouble making the weight, had to drop 4 pounds the morning of the fight.
So we'll see what kind of an effect it has as this fight goes on. Bates still hasn't broken a sweat.
No, he is dry. He's dry as a bone, Barry. Ooh, that's the second big right hand he's landed in this round. I think right now Kenny Kidd is forgetting about that slipping punches.
That Kidd is really there for that right hand. He holds that left hand down around the belt. Bates working the body reasonably well too.
Now his trainer-manager told me today, Larry Young told me that he likes Bates to box and use his jab and move. He said that Bates' nature is to fight this kind of a fight. And he says it's not always the smartest thing for him to do.
Kidd got there with the right hand.
These guys just can't miss each other with the right hand.
Yeah, the Bates is countering well with the right hand. Most of Kidd's punches are being caught in the gloves of Norman Bates.
That was a good body punch by Bates. That left hook really got home. Interestingly, here in Indiana, they use kind of the old-fashioned thumbless glove, Barry. You see, it's not even the thumb-attached glove. It's the flat thumb glove.
And they really have a different appearance. They just look huge.
It's strange looking, aren't
they? Good body work by Bates in this first round. And Kidd gets in with another right hand. So Kidd got in with a little bit, but Bates got the better of it. We'll be back.
Both fighters a lot of success with the right hand in that first round, Barry. You see a counter right here by Bates. Boom, right over that low left hand of Kenneth Kidd.
Bates did some good work in the first round, but of course the question, as you posed, is will Kidd be able to take him into the later rounds?
Right, because you would think that after the struggle that Bates had making weight today, he's got to be a little short on stamina.
You would also think Kidd would work the body a little bit, just because, for the same reasons.
And he's certainly aware of it, because I was sitting there talking to him when Bates went out in his running suit to make the first of 2 4-mile jogs.
Both fighters are there for a right hand, and both have scored with a right hand.
That was really the first time that Bates used his jab the way he wants to. Now you see when he uses it, Kenneth Kidd really can't get off. Right between the eyes of Kenneth Kidd.
And Bates doing some very good body work too. There's a left hand by Kidd and a right hand by Kidd. Kidd getting the better of that exchange. Bates covers up.
Kidd is supposed to be the puncher in this fight. The record indicates it. And that one right hand he landed to the body actually lifted the foot of Norman Bates off the canvas.
Kidd being much sharper with his punches in this second round.
Oh, Bates came right in with his head and then followed it with a 1-2.
And again, it was a right hand lead that really is doing the difference for Bates. That was a low blow by Bates.
I think it was a pair of low blows, and referee Pregorson did see it.
Once again, you have the feeling that the further this fight goes, the more it goes in the favor of Kenneth Kidd.
You have to wonder a little bit about the strategy of Bates, because he's trying to outmuscle his man in here. And you think that a fighter who might be a little shaky in terms of stamina wouldn't want to do that.
Again, a good right hand, and Kidd comes back with a left hand of his own, also gets there with an uppercut.
One thing I think we can say, though, now is that for the most part, Bates' right hands haven't had much of an effect. They really haven't hurt Kenneth Kidd at all.
Well, as you alluded to, he's not a guy who's going to get you out of there with one punch. Kidd seems very able to push Bates out of there, too, and get at punching range for himself. A good example of it right there. He just pushed him off the ropes instead of trying to escape off the ropes himself. And to round 2, and we'll be back. Round number 3, Norman Bates in the black trunks, Kenneth Kidd in the white trunks. Kidd had a pretty good second round.
He really did. You know, boxing on some levels is a simple game, and it's really the skill of Bates against the strength of Kenneth Kidd. And I think in the second round, the strength won out a little bit.
So we start the third round, and Norman Bates not showing any indication that he's tiring yet, but taking 2 4-mile runs is going to take enough out of you without having to get in the ring and fight for 8 rounds.
You notice he went back to the jab a bit to start this round. He pumped about 7 jabs in, and that's the way he wanted to start. Let's see if he's able to keep that distance the whole round.
Take a look at the punch profile as a combination for Bates gets there through the first 2 rounds. They've thrown an equal amount of punches, and Bates has been a little bit sharper with his.
Well, you know what? He's thrown more body shots, too, which you know are easier to land, and he's been very accurate with that counter right hand. Here again, we see Kidd trying to muscle Bates, and Bates just going right back. Instead of using the hand speed, using the jab, and getting out of there, he doesn't mind being in there with Kidd.
And again, body work by Bates. Kidd trying to work the uppercut, and Kidd pushes him off.
That right hand again, but you know, Bates has a tendency to slap with that right hand a little bit.
Jab working pretty
Jab is very good. Seems like he forgets about it sometimes.
And again, the body work by Bates. Good right hand, but again, but you're right, he does have a tendency to slap, yeah.
One thing that Bates does very well, and it's the kind of thing that escapes the notice of a lot of fans, is that he blocks most of the punches on the inside. He covers up very well. Much tighter defensively than Kidd.
And again, the jab of Bates, just keeping Kidd off of him. Bates doing just enough in this round.
But again, this is what Larry Young told me earlier. He said this can be an easy fight if Norman wants it to be. If he boxes this guy, he can win it easily. If he wants to go toe-to-toe with him, it'll be tough.
Kidd seems to have lost a little bit. Punches do not have the snap they did. Right hand lead, the left hand behind it by Bates. And that hurt Kidd. So we come to the end of the 3rd round, a very good round for Norman Bates. Be interesting to see the numbers. I think he'll have a very high percentage. We'll be back.
Here we see a little sloppiness here by both fighters, a missed exchange of rights, but watch Bates finish off the exchange with that left hook to the body.
In Norman Bates' corner between rounds, they were talking uppercut, and he starts out this round with an uppercut. He said when he comes at you, uppercut. In fact, he emphasized the point time and again.
Well, that means that Bates' corner has resigned itself to an inside fight here. And if he's going to work in close, he may as well use the uppercut because Kidd has a tendency to fall inside.
Right hand again was a little bit short.
A little short, yeah. He had him, but he set him up perfectly with the jab, and that's the punch I think that would make this night a lot easier for Norman Bates.
Yep. I think Kidd may be a little bit tired here. Breathing through his mouth a little bit. His punches don't have quite the snap that they did.
Well, and you really would think it would be the other way around, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. Good left hook.
Real good flurry off the ropes. Bates now has the look of a fighter who's not worried that he can get hurt anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He looks like he feels that he's taken Kidd's best punches, and he feels that he can score in combination almost any time he wants.
Right, he's digging in with the punches. He's setting him up good. He knows at this point that he's not going to get hurt. He can take his best shots.
Another good straight right hand. Again, the right hand, but again, a slapping right hand.
Right, because it comes from the side. He doesn't bring it straight over from the shoulder.
Using the uppercut, heeding the advice of his corner well.
And Barry, he's just busier. He's just busier on the inside. When they fall inside together, it's Bates' hands who are moving all the time. Well, almost all the time.
He's a liar out of you.
It's not the first time.
And a right hand again, but again a slapping right hand. And maybe cumulatively those punches may have an effect, but not singularly.
Well, we know from the record that Bates is a distance fighter, and that's probably the reason why right there.
And it does look like something, Wally, that would be correctable. It's not that he doesn't set down on his punches.
but it becomes a habit, you know. He's a long-time pro. At this point, he's got 22 pro fights. It's tough to change that kind of a habit. I'll tell you what, Barry, that's a good right uppercut by Bates, but considering what he went through to make the weight today, this is a pretty good performance.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Very sharp, high percentage punches, very busy. Norman Bates in control of this fight. But Wally, I'll tell you, the man is still a giant presence, isn't he?
He really is. You know, that's the one man who I keep looking at across the room there because I can't take my eyes off him. The greatest, and you have to wonder what goes through his mind when he watches these kind of fights, considering the kind of events that he was involved in.
Really true. It does seem, though, he seems to be a man who's really at peace with himself right now.
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. I think he knows that what he did is going to be very hard for anybody to duplicate.
He lives about 20 miles from here, has a farm, drove down with several of his children. It's nice to see an entourage that about 2/3 of it you're related to.
Right. He's got a good-looking family. He's got a couple of his daughters with him.
Pull out of there. Quick.
Jab him, Carlos.
Meanwhile, Norman Bates only wishing he were like Muhammad Ali. And Kenneth Kidd thinking he would be Norman Bates. You know? Kidd getting a little bit busier here.
Well, maybe it's time for Bates to take that rest that we expected him to take.
It was interesting that his corner asked him between rounds whether or not he felt tired, and he didn't answer. He said nothing.
I think that's a bad question in the corner. I really do. Nothing like reminding your fighter that he's exhausted.
That right hand hurt Kidd, and Bates jumps on him. Bates more effective, and again, you pointed this out, but he's more effective when he uses a straight punch rather than coming from outside in.
Right now, you can just see the difference in hand speed also. You know, Bates is just kind of stepping back when he sees the opening, boom, boom. Especially with that lead right hand there, he was very quick. So right now, he's just kind of letting Kidd fire away. He's just soaking those punches up.
Kidd really throwing a lot of arm punches now, too. Again, the right hand, and it drives Kidd into the ropes. Kidd's really looking like a beaten fighter right now.
Yes, and also a discouraged fighter because, you know, one thing about Bates, it's very tough to open him up. When he puts those gloves up, there's not really much to shoot at, and I think right now Kidd is getting a little discouraged because he's not landing clean shots right there.
I remember the last time I saw Norman Bates right here in South Bend a couple of years ago. I thought at the time, here's a guy who seems to have some potential, and now I watch him again tonight, and I have the same feeling about it.
Well, it's obvious he has talent. He's got hand speed. He can box a bit. The lack of punching power definitely hurts him from getting into the upper echelons, and also the fact that he doesn't always fight the fight that would make his night easier. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but it's true.
Norman Bates works in the Sheriff's Department in Elkhart, Illinois.
In fact, he was sworn in on June 15th, or sorry, make it July 15th as a deputy sheriff, and he's still completing his training. Sheriff Norman Bates.
Has a ring to it, doesn't it? Now we're going to take you into the corner of the Sheriff.
It's all right. You fighting good.
He's a tough guy. He wears his badge when he doesn't even have a shirt on.
Well, they don't call him Psycho for nothing.
No smiling. I'm just okay? You hear me? No smiling. That was a good round, Carlos. You're following up good. You're not getting your feet ahead of you this time. Okay, you got about 3 more rounds to go. Be patient. Be patient. Take your time. It's all there, baby. It's yours if you want it. Take your time and be a technician. Go in there and take your time and play chess with him.
That overhand right that's landed again and again for Bates. And a follow-up. You know, for the first time, I got the feeling that Kidd was starting to weaken a bit.
Yeah, he did. He really started to look like a beaten fighter. He was going backwards. In fact, he looked like a fighter who just didn't want too much more. He's still looks that way.
Yeah, and the last punch of the round sent his mouthpiece out, so the round started badly and ended badly for him.
6th round scheduled for 8.
Barry, just to give you an indication of how bad round 5 was for Kenneth Kidd, Bates outlanded him 40-6.
It says all you need to know. Through the first 5 rounds, our punch profile is just simply no contest. And that is the story of the fight right there.
That is really widened. If you remember the first time we looked at the punch profile, there was about a 15-punch difference. Now it's about 3 times.
And Bates hitting Kidd at will now.
Well, Kidd just landed a pretty good right hand, but he's not hurting his man. And this is a fighter who relies on the knockout for the most part. So if he can't hurt his opponent, he's really in bad shape.
Kidd just leaning on Bates now.
Right, and this is when he really needs to be scoring points and trying to land some damaging punches. He's really taking this as an opportunity to get some rest.
That was a good left hand that drove Kidd off.
Again, you see Bates keeps working when he's got his man on the ropes. He doesn't take that rest in there.
Right hand off the break and a second cut over the left eye of Kidd. That could be bad enough to end things pretty quickly.
Well, that's really bleeding. You know, you could actually see it open up right after that right hand.
Yeah. It was a nice punch, too. He took a step to the right, hit him with the right hand, and now Bates, of course, senses that things may be almost over, that it won't take much.
And now Kenneth Kidd's remembering to slip those punches. Actually, he did a pretty good job there with those 2 shots. Well, nothing like having your eyebrows split open to remind you of that.
Gets your attention. Have an idea, this is not going to go too much further. A lot of work to do on that eye, and it's a beaten fighter who's got the cut eye.
Well, the corner would be doing him a favor, I think. Or maybe just telling him, sit down, son.
Drives Kidd into the ropes.
The game fighter, Kenneth Kidd. I thought he was on his way down from that one.
Good body shot right there. Took even more starch out of Kenneth Kidd. I'll take a long look, I would think, in the corner of Kenneth Kidd. That's the look of a beaten man. Well, they would be well advised to stop this one right now.
Very unlikely that Kidd could find the power to knock out Norman Bates at this point. We know, or we can assume, that he's hopelessly behind on the scorecards.
I'm surprised the doctor did not even look at the eye.
It looks like the corner's going to send him out again.
Yeah, it definitely does. There's no indication that they will call it quits here.
2 more. Come on, 2 more.
But that is a tired and hurt and cut fighter. That's not a good trilogy.
No. Go. That's a bad trifecta.
Yes, it is. Still a ways to go for Kenneth Kidd. This is the 7th round. We're going 8. Outcome not the least bit in doubt.
There again, what a wide gap in punches landed.
Yeah, just no contest right now. Well, considering the circumstances, you have to say fine performance for Norman Bates.
It really has been, you know, and for the most part, he's fought at pretty high intensity, which, you know, we had some doubt about whether he was capable of it.
Very in South Bend, Indiana. We're watching Norman Psycho Bates and Kenneth Kidd, their junior welterweights. They're in the 7th round of an 8-round fight. I'm Barry Tompkins with Wally Matthews.
Right now, you can just see Bates, I'm sorry, Barry, just trying to set up a right hand. He's just trying to get his man in the right position and maybe start that blood flowing again.
He came behind a jab. There's a left jab, the right hand behind it.
Right now, Kidd is just in retreat, and you know that's not his fight, so he's not even very good at it. You know, this is not his nature to go backwards, but there's really no alternative right now.
And Bates now, as you mentioned, really is looking just to load up here.
And he's not throwing many punches anymore. He's trying to make sure he lands and in the right spots.
Bates just signaled to his corner that he broke his mouthpiece. Kid just has nothing left here. And it's only a question of another 3 minutes.
He's got no energy and very few ideas.
Bates with a wild right hand, short.
You know, right now, Bates is having everything his own way. He's just so relaxed in there. He can do basically whatever he wants.
Good body shot, almost doubled Kidd up. And we come to the end of the 7th round. 3 minutes left in this first fight of the evening, and we'll be back with more after this.
Here's a 1-2 by Bates in that last round. It wasn't even that good, Barry, but at this point, Kidd hasn't got many legs under him.
And he starts the final round with a quick right hand. Handshake and then a quick right hand lead just to set the tone. But the tone was set a long time ago.
Well, if Kenny Kidd wants to win this fight, he's just got to let it all go right now.
He did get there with a left hand, but case of too little too late, I'm quite sure, for Kenny Kidd.
Well, who knows? You know, he's got 8 knockouts and 10 wins. Obviously, the guy can punch a little bit. Stranger things have happened in this game.
Now Bates works the jab. Good footwork. Body work again by Bates.
Bates really dug that right hand into the ribs. I mean, let's face it, Kenneth Kidd needs a lucky punch, but lucky punches haven't landed.
Bates still pretty sharp with his punches, so obviously the 3-pound loss that he had to go through today has not had any effect whatsoever, and you don't see that very often.
No, you really don't. This just might encourage him to come in 3 pounds heavy next time. Who knows? Do your training the day of the fight.
That's right. And we got a little repair of the glove. The tape on the glove, as you can see, is a little bit loose. And
sure, this is not an unwelcome recess with Kenneth Kidd.
Takes a long blow on the ropes here. Now we're set to go again. Good crowd here at South Bend. They're really into this fight.
Well, you know, it's been a pretty good one all the way through, even though I felt it's been one-sided. It's been close one-sided, if that's possible.
And now Bates just jumps on his man, trying to get him out of there. Very effective, not missing many punches. Blood again from the eye of Kenneth Kidd.
Boy, you just can't say enough about the determination of Bates here tonight. I mean, he's finishing up strong in a fight that he's got won. It's in the bag. You know he's got to be tired.
Hey, it doesn't show it, though. And again, you see Kidd's punches being caught by the gloves of Norman Bates.
And you know Kidd has got to be exhausted now because he needs a knockout to win, and he's not even trying for it. He just wants to get to that belt.
25 seconds left in this.
And a lot of this fight has been fought head-to-head like that, which seemed not to be the right strategy for Bates, but boy, he made it work.
It's all worked out pretty well, and Bates finishes with a flourish also. And that's it. Complete victory, I think.
Right down to the last punch.
Very impressive win for Norman Bates.
It really was a good all-around performance from beginning to end. I thought he let down a little bit in the second round, and I thought that we were going to see a different kind of a fight, but then he just retook control of the bout.
Yeah, he really did. He didn't miss too many punches at all. Kind of danced with what brung him. He found success with the right hand early, did well to the body early, and stayed with it. So a couple of local heroes who will be watching tonight. Harold Brazier, of course, the other.
My boy trying to go past me. They are. Don't worry about it.
And this crowd, of course, very supportive of Norman Bates. What's left is just to make it official. Take a look at the total punches, and this is really unbelievable.
314 to 91 landed. That's 3.5 times. That's the story of the fight right there.
All right, let's make it official with Michael Buck.
And here's the official scoring. Gary Merritt scores the bout 79-73. Monty Cox scores at 80-72. And Fred Jones has it 79-73 for the winner by unanimous decision, Norman Psycho Bates.
Not a surprise, a lopsided victory for Norman Bates. So he runs his record to 22 up and 1 down, and we'll be back with more boxing from South
Let's have a
Bend
round of applause
after
for
this.